Okay, that beeping sound is the end of our 6-minute time, so I guess we'll remove the rice from the heat. The rice is going to have plenty of time to cook when you actually cook your cabbage rolls, so we don't want to overcook it right now. So now is the time we combine all the ingredients, and usually I just use a big giant bowl and I'll take and mix everything together. So I like to start out with the rice, throw that in there. Next I'll throw in the bacon onion mixture. I'll give that a good mix. And right now is when I'll add the rest of the ingredients. I'll give it a sprinkle of garlic powder and some dill. You don't want to use too terrible much dill, but it's a pretty big batch, so some garlic powder, dill. Maybe I'll add a little bit more salt and pepper. I haven't put very much salt in. Okay. Some pepper, then I'll mix it all up. Anyway, this looks pretty good. I think I've got appropriate amount of stuff in it. I don't know if you can see it's steaming pretty good here. One thing you'll find when you're rolling cabbage rolls is that if the rice gets cold, it tends to flake apart more. So they're easier to roll while your rice is still hot. It sticks together more. The stickier the rice, of course, the easier it is to roll. I'm not an expert at rolling by any means, but I find that works for me. So do it when it's warm. Don't let it sit too long. For me, I like to do just one head. Or in this instance, like 1.5 heads. You're not sitting there all day long doing this. I find that as I roll the cabbage rolls, they get bigger and bigger the longer I do it. All the little tidbits and stuff can be used for lazy cabbage rolls. Probably what I'll get here is maybe a pan of regular cabbage rolls and a pan of lazy cabbage rolls. So I'll cut the spines out. So, what I was told, I find this works, is you want to take your rice, take a spoonful, appropriate to the size of the leaf, right? You take it, and generally you would use a triangle. I don't know if this is a good example, but you start at the wide end of your leaf, if it's like a pie-shaped piece, and then you roll it. And then you don't have rice all over the place. And if you're really fortunate, you'll have some help doing this. So you would start rolling at the wide end. I forgot to mention that. You start rolling at the wide end so that when you take your spoonful and you put it on, you can tuck the loose ends over. You've got some material to wrap it over and tuck it in. And then roll it up.
Cabbage rolls.
Okay, so I managed to get 2 pans of cabbage rolls. I got a larger one and a smaller one. The first 2 pans are harder to do than the last one because here's how you do the last one. Okay, so when you get to the end of the cabbages, what I like to do typically is I'll save a lot of it. I've got some leftover rice here and leftover cabbage, and of course you can use it to make a lazy cabbage roll pan. Some people like to use the scraps and they line the bottom of their casserole dishes. I've never had a problem with it sticking, so I like to eat it rather than waste it, I guess. I'll throw the cores in the compost. Incidentally, before I put my cabbage in the crock pot, I do core it, so these pieces isn't necessarily the core, it's just the heavier leaves. So I'll get out the slap chop again here and we'll put it into something a little more palatable. So I just get it into some smaller pieces and we'll mix it up with the rice, throw it in a casserole dish, and we're done. So this is how we use up the leftovers. Mix it all together, throw it in the pan, and then throw it either in the freezer or the oven. Okay, so I've decided that I will put this into 2 pans. I'll put one in the freezer and I'll put one in the oven a little bit later. And I saved some juice. I found that it's not too salty. I can put maybe a half a cup of juice in each one. It helps keep it moist while it cooks. So I have a lid. I can put this one in the freezer, and then I will put this one in the oven later. And I will cook this for at least 2 hours. Even after 2 hours, you still have that sour, kind of a sour taste to it, which I like. If you don't want that, you can cook it a little bit longer. These ones here, how you're supposed to cook it, I'm told, and I've done it. You fill them full of water, all the interstitial space, you fill it full of water, and you'll cook it like for 4 hours before they're done. 4 hours sounds like a long time, but trust me, that's what works. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, everybody.